Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Dish on Aging live stream. Let's see. Looks like it's just me here right now. So I will give everyone a moment to get on your YouTube, the Dish on Aging. Let me adjust my flowers here. Okay, somebody's on board as I am adjusting my flowers, make sure my set is all in order. Okay, somebody went on and then went off. Okay. Okay, let's see, live stream. It's just me, so I'm not saying very much. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Today is August 19th, 2021. It's just about 2 o'clock, a little bit after 2 in the afternoon. I'm still waiting for people to jump online for the Dish on Aging live stream. And in the meantime, I am going to provide information about this live stream project, what it's about, and how it is my hope this will be helpful to seniors living in this community. Just so everyone knows who I am Dr. Maureen Sweeney. I am a clinical psychologist practicing in Bensalem, Pennsylvania. I specialize in geriatrics. And I made a decision to run this live stream program last week as a way to provide additional mental health support to seniors living in the community as we are transitioning to more kind of rules and regulations about the pandemic. I wanted to be able to talk today about two topics of conversation that are coming up. The first one is the Delta variant that is impacting widespread COVID within the community. Most people who are getting positive tests for COVID have not been vaccinated. Separate from that, what is now being noticed within nursing homes is that also within the community is that the COVID vaccinations are wearing off after about 8 months. So there was an announcement yesterday by President Biden that we will all, every American adult can expect to receive a booster dose of the vaccinations sometime this fall, 8 months after you received your second dose. I'm getting distracted because I know people said they were going to come on, and I'm just hoping that I am doing everything right with this. Yes, I'm on the Dish on Aging. Let me type something in. Hi, is anyone? I don't think so, but anyway, I just typed ask the question, is anyone there? So anyway, we can all anticipate on getting a booster shot for the COVID vaccination 8 months after our second dose. Now, some of you may have only gotten one dose through the Johnson & Johnson vaccination. For some reason, they're not sure that the Johnson & Johnson vaccination will need a booster shot. So it is only those of us who had two doses of the vaccination earlier this year who will be needing to get the booster shot. So that'll be most of us. The other bit of information that was very important related to senior services in the community is that President Biden said that everybody in a nursing home is going to need to get vaccinated. Otherwise, Medicare, Medicaid services will not provide any funding to nursing homes. So nursing homes rely 80% of their funding income coming in comes from Medicaid, Medicare services. So I believe it's by October 1st, everyone who works in nursing homes will need to be vaccinated. So that is very important because, as I was talking about on Monday, the what's happening is approximately 40% of nursing home staff are not vaccinated, and that is causing the nursing homes to have to implement the Medicare protocol of shutdown, where the residents can't go sit outside on a bench on a nice summer day. They cannot leave their rooms. They cannot go to dining rooms to enjoy a dinner or a meal, and they cannot have family visitors in the building. And that has to happen until there a period of time, whether it's 10 days or 14 days with no new COVID cases in the building. So that is a level of unfair um, because most of the nursing home residents are indeed vaccinated. So it's almost like an employee makes a decision not to get vaccinated. They then get exposed in the community. They're getting tested at work. And then that's considered a positive COVID for in the facility. And then they have to put the facility on shutdown. So I think it's really positive for seniors locally and across the country that there is now going to be a mandate for facilities to receive Medicare dollars, Medicare, Medicaid dollars. They have to have everybody in the building vaccinated by October 1st. So that's a real positive. Also, something to know about the reason for the boosters. When we're talking about the booster, the original vaccinations wearing off, what that means is that if somebody was vaccinated January or February and they're exposed to the COVID, they don't have the protection of not being hospitalized. So they're finding that after 8 months, the vaccination doesn't keep you out of the hospital anymore. Therefore, it will be very important for all of us who have already been vaccinated to, in the weeks and days to come, we'll be learning more information about how to go through the process of scheduling to get our booster shot at or around the 8th month after our second vaccination. So if you received your second vaccination in the month of March, like I did, it will be a November date that I will be scheduling to get revaccinated. Welcome to whoever just jumped on board. Um, okay, so I was just talking about the how to understand the vaccination booster concept that every American who has been vaccinated is going to be encouraged to get a booster around the 8th month anniversary of their second dose. Anyone who received the Johnson & Johnson one-time vaccination, they don't need a booster at this point. And also, for those who are immunocompromised, your doctor's office has probably called you already, and they're starting to give the booster shots to the immunocompromised, those who are taking medication after an organ transplant, those who are going through active cancer treatments, those taking certain medications that cause their body's immune system not to be working at full strength. That will be a group of people. Your doctor's already told you that you fall into that category of immune compromise. So the immune compromised group is already able to call your doctor, or your doctor's office will call you to get the booster shot just right now. The rest of us our earliest booster shots will be September 20th, and then after that. I was reading that this week Harrisburg held a press conference about booster shots, and Harrisburg is confident that there will be a seamless and non-complicated and not confusing distribution of booster shots in the community. And that's all good. And then when the reporters asked questions, how exactly is this going to work? There were no answers. So it's unclear whether they will open up again. For example, I received my vaccination through the community colleges that were set up as vaccination distribution sites, and they've since been closed. They weren't needed anymore. In the meantime, now doctors' offices have COVID vaccinations, and many pharmacies and supermarkets now have the COVID vaccinations for those who still haven't gotten their first dose, their first vaccination. By the way, if you're not at all vaccinated, now is a great time. Just Google, how can I get vaccinated for COVID? There will be no fee, no out-of-pocket expense, and so on. So if you've not been vaccinated, now's a really good time to get vaccinated. So that's the update on mandatory vaccinations have now been put in place for every nursing home across the country, and that deadline is going to be October 1st. We're all going to have to get booster shots starting after September 20th. If we received the Moderna or the Pfizer vaccinations, so that we can continue to be protected from the Delta strain. So those are the two COVID related. Also, there was an update from Monday. I was talking about the masks in schools here in Bucks County. The Department of Health in Bucks County actually changed on Tuesday what they said on Monday. And this is one of the reasons why I'm having a twice a week live stream, because information is changing very quickly related to this pandemic and what the rules are. And one of the things I liked about the Bucks County Health Department and the doctor who was in charge of that, what he was saying on Tuesday, is he made this statement on Monday that he was going to leave it up to each school district to decide what they were going to do about masks. Were masks going to be required? And if so, who was going to be required to wear a mask? And his statement on Monday was that every school district's different. Let's just let each district make their own decisions based on what will work best for them. And then what he explained on Tuesday is that there were local pediatric hospitals who called him and said, I want to tell you something that most people don't realize about pediatric intensive care beds, that before the pandemic, pediatric intensive care beds in our community are at almost full capacity all the time. And what the hospitals explain to the Bucks County Health Department is that if even one child in Bucks County needs a pediatric intensive care bed, that may strain the system, even one child. So the Bucks County Department of Health said that is good information for us to know. And then the hospitals went on to say, we really think that it's best if you just recommend that everyone in the Bucks County public school systems wear masks when school starts in 2 weeks. So that is now what the Bucks County Health Department is recommending, that the school districts recommend that everyone wear a mask, whether they've been vaccinated or not. And the reason for that has to do with very limited pediatric intensive care beds unrelated to the pandemic. So scary stuff when you stop and think about it. And when you put it that way, it makes sense that having people wear masks is not, it kind of becomes trivial relative to the idea of pediatric intensive care beds, and somebody may have a need for that. I was asked a very good question this week. I was asked, does it do psychological harm to children when they have to wear masks? And the general answer and there might be some exceptions to this, but the general answer is no. And there will be exceptions. There will be a child may have a phobia, they may have live life on the spectrum. They may have another reason why it's unbearable for them to wear a mask. And so, in a situation like that, the school district always has, separate from the pandemic, they always have a rule in place. For example, before the pandemic, a child may have been going through cancer treatments, and their oncologist might have said to the family and to the child, we need to make a decision. Because of your cancer treatments, you're immunocompromised. If you go into school to receive your education, I want you to wear a mask. And if the child or the parents say, I don't want my child wearing a mask at school, then the oncologist would say that's fine. That all of the school districts have a program where the child can receive their education by video from home, and that was already before the pandemic. So even as we're talking about masks and we're talking about getting educated from home, students going into school, even before the pandemic, there were always backup options in place for parents that allowed for flexibility. That if a child doesn't fall into the generally wearing a mask is not a problem. And I know many of you are saying, how can a 5 or 6 year old wear a mask? That's got to be too much. And then those who teach school say, I'd rather deal with a 5-year-old than a 15-year-old. Because the problem you might have with the older students is a little bit of what we call oppositional defiance, just being an uncooperative teenager. Sometimes that can be a more difficult behavior to manage than a 5 or 6 year old who might be a little irritable or uncomfortable or not understand why they have to wear a mask. So anyway, so that's the answer to the general question. Are mask wearing, is it harmful to children? Generally, no. What can be harmful is getting the COVID itself. For some children, it can potentially be very harmful. Also, what can be harmful for the children can be in some of the districts in the South. I mean, when they're having real shouting matches at the school board meetings and threats of violence, that is what's going to be harmful for the children. I've been telling people that I use this as an example. A friend of mine who was a huge football fan, and what she had to do when her children were young, she'd have to drop the children off at the parents' house before the football game came on, because she had a living room full of people. And if there was a touchdown and sudden cheers, that was too much commotion for young children. They would start to cry. And she said in time, the children grew up and then they were sitting on the couch with the adults and cheering for the touchdown. But all that commotion and just it's really aggression, verbal threats, physical aggressions, going like this with the fist, and it's happening community wide. That's the kind of thing that can shake up children, and parents know that. So even if some of the things we're seeing on TV, even if the parents have strong opinions one way or the other, they understand you don't want children at a parent-teacher meeting when there's that level of emotion. So that's the answer to the question, do masks do harm to children? Okay, what I want to do now that I have a few viewers on the live stream, I want to review. I received some feedback that some individuals were not quite sure how to ask a question. And others were so glad that they were on this Facebook live stream because it's so different than other live streams. Some people will do Facebook live stream, they'll do a of course, we're doing YouTube live stream. There's can also be Zoom live stream. And what you can do, if you're on, some are on television, some are on phones, some people are on computers. I'm on a computer right now, and some might be on iPods. So depending on the device you're on, your YouTube screen that you're watching me right now may be different. So what I recommend you do is take the time now to use your cursor or your pointer and just start clicking on things that you see. Up in the top, there's going to be top left, the three bars, the expand menu. I just clicked on that. I made my picture smaller. I clicked on it again. I made it bigger. And it's telling me how many minutes, how many people are on, if I'm getting thumbs up or thumbs down. I haven't been able to figure out when I go down to the bottom of my stream, I can click it to end the stream. I think I can fast forward it. I don't want to click on that because I don't know what it is. Oh, and I have a microphone. I'm going to try something. I might mute my. That's my mute. Okay. So the bars at the bottom are telling me how my volume's coming across, and that's how I can mute myself. Then I go over to the right and I have a chat. Some of you might not already have that, where it says the dish on aging and then say something. And I think that's where I type. And I'm going to type in. This is where I type, and I'm going to push enter. For somebody else, they may have a different location. Also, when I'm watching a live stream YouTube video or Facebook video, I will go on and it'll tell me, a little box will come up in the corner that will tell me, click on the box if you want to live stream, if you want to chat during the live stream. And it'll tell me the name I'm coming up as. Some people, and for some reason, my computer is already set up. If I'm watching somebody else's live stream, I come up as Maureen Sweeney. I'm fine with that. Some people might identify themselves as Bugs Bunny because they don't want to essentially go public. Oh, I see someone clicked a thumbs up the video. Also, remember on the top of my chat, it says, welcome to live chat, and remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines. What that means is just be aware when you're asking questions that this is generally public. It's as if we're sitting in a public library, for example, and I'm giving a presentation. And before the pandemic, I would do that. And so when you stand up and ask a question, you don't necessarily say your name, but the whole public may, at least some people in the room may recognize you. So when you're asking a question, you might be identifying yourself. And just so everybody knows, this is a community presentation. Everyone from the community is invited. So, and this is not a support group. This is not a psychological care group. This is just primarily information being provided to the public. The other thing that's happening is YouTube automatically tapes this. I can turn the tape off, but I'm like, okay with that. So YouTube automatically tapes this. Oh, okay. Hi, Tom. Tom, I know that you're rooting for I think it's a football team. Can you tell me what football team that is? Because I don't know who dogs are. So anyway, so what was I saying about, oh yeah, public. Okay, good. So Tom and I was explaining this on Monday. Even though I'm sitting in Bensalem and most people are local to the Philadelphia area, we are, oh, you retracted your message, Tom. You don't want people to know who the dogs are. Okay. Well, anyway, and you can do that. You can ask a question and then, retract it. But YouTube is actually not only national, but international. And there are millions. Oh, University of so I think that's Georgia. Good. Um, the YouTube is actually international. Any place there's internet, somebody can go on YouTube, and there are millions and millions of channels. So what's most likely happening is my live feed is, oh, go Eagles. Yeah. Hi, Carol. What's most likely happening is my YouTube videos, they get lost in the sea of millions and millions and millions of videos, or video channels, YouTube channels. And it's only the people that know I'm here that I've sent an email to. For example, area on aging directors or community senior center administrators, I'll send information about that this channel is here. And then also word of mouth, people who know that I do this work and I have the YouTube channel. So those people, I tell them what to type in, the dish on aging, up comes my channel. So my channel doesn't get nearly enough foot traffic to, you've probably heard the term go viral. I think to go viral is like over 1 million viewers. If you're, and I guess I had 100,000 people who subscribe. I guess that's a big deal on YouTube. It's not my intention to do that. YouTube is oftentimes used by just someone who's local. Maybe they have a small business. Maybe they have an interest. Maybe they have a skill. Maybe their business is selling computers. So they'll put together a YouTube page where they review computers. And that actually can be very popular. What I use YouTube for myself, if I have I need to replace a sink faucet, I'll usually just Google it, and up will come a YouTube channel or video, 3 minutes on how to replace a kitchen sink faucet, and I'll watch that, and it's been absolutely wonderful. Somebody mentioned to me YouTube is like YouTube. Oh, how-to videos on YouTube are very, very helpful. Yes, they are. They really are. And somebody mentioned to me about YouTube University, where they actually have all kinds of college courses, course level material on YouTube. Somebody can go for, an advanced calculus class. And one of the things that is wonderful about YouTube is that as long as you have an internet connection, it is free. And that is the reason why I chose this format for my Dish on Aging free live stream community project that I'm going to be running from now through December. The other thing that I'm just a little tweak adjustment I'm making to my presentation is I'm going to be Mondays at 9, Thursdays at 2, and I'm going to be running these as 30-minute presentations rather than an hour. And the reason for that, two reasons. One, I find I run out of things to talk about, even with the questions, after 30 minutes. And the other was, I find that it is a little bit exhausting. I have a lot of experience actually providing live stream presentations. I actually, for almost a decade now, I have a friend of mine who runs a introduction to psychology high school class, and he now lives in York, Maine. I went to high school with him in Connecticut, where I'm from. And so he somehow figured out almost a decade ago on how to get me to live stream into his psychology class once a semester, where I can explain to the high school students what a psychologist is, what they do, and what's involved with the training. And so I would find usually those classes would run a little more than an hour, and I found the same thing after talking live stream to students about fun things to talk about. It is tiring. So I think that is going to be my new format, 30 minutes on Monday at 9 a.m., 30 minutes on Thursday. And I am just so pleased with how this is going. And this is designed just to be a drop-in. If somebody is sitting around Monday morning or Thursday and looking for something to do, Ask the Psychologist. And my focus is going to be on each day finding something positive and constructive to do. Um, I had a lot of fun earlier today with someone, because what we had to do is we had to find our COVID vaccination cards and find out what was the date of our second vaccination back in March. And I said to the person, I said, I've never had children, but this almost feels like a woman who has just learned she's having a baby and she's got to count ahead so many months to find her due date. And we had such a good laugh about that. And especially if it's a man I'm talking to. So what we can do is take out our COVID cards, and hopefully you still have it. If you don't, then you can just Google, I don't have my COVID card. How can I find out when my second dose was? And I was guessing that my booster dose would be due on Thanksgiving. It's due Thanksgiving week. So if you got your second COVID dose the third week in March, then you're going to be due 8 months later for your booster shot, which is going to be the third week in November, which is Thanksgiving week. So to stay, the one little positive piece of action I want everyone to do is to find out when was your second dose, and then calculate ahead, and then you have a target due date. And no, not for your next child being born. You have your target due date for when your booster shot is due. And then we can't get our boosters until the earliest is going to be the 20th of September. So I think we're going to be getting more information between now and September 20th about how we schedule those. Do we start on the 20th of September? Do we schedule through the county? Do we schedule CVS? I think that information is going to be made available to the community. Also, if you have a medical conditions, I know people that are immune compromised living in the community, their doctor's office has already called them and said, we'd like to schedule you for your booster shot, even though their booster shot isn't due until September, October, something like that. So if you're immune compromised, you got to start answering the phone. I know that's a challenge because some people with some of the robocalls, a lot of people choose not to answer their phones if they don't recognize the number. So we might have to go back to picking up the phones again if we think somebody is calling to schedule us for our booster shot. So I just wanted to throw that out there. All right. Any final questions or comments? I'm going to sign off at 30 minutes because I think 30-minute time frame is going to work best for this Dish on Aging live stream. Okay. Oh, also, even though we're taping, our YouTube does, and it gets posted on the Dish on Aging YouTube channel, I've decided I'm only going to keep the videos up, the live stream videos up for a week, because I might have someone who's out and about today and may come this afternoon and want to look to see what I talked about today. So I'm going to keep these up for a week, and then I'm going to erase them. So Tom with University of Georgia, Carol with Go Eagles. This will only be on my webpage for a week, 7 days. I'm good to see you. Okay, good. Okay. You all be well, and I will see you Monday at 9 a.m. for the YouTube live stream. Bye-bye.